Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the blockchain and the data. So means like suppose the major challenge we face is in our organization is when I ask my bosses like I want to do something on a blockchain. So they said why you want a blockchain, another application. Why should I spend the more amount of cost to do another application for the same job? So that's where we did some research and we came to know that how we can integrate, our existing applications like .NET, Java, or SAP, or any other applications to blockchain network. So that's what I'm going to discuss today, and how we are going to manage about the data. Because if you talk about the blockchain, it's not something very new because we are using the same concept from years, like 30, 40 years, and more than that actually. So it's all about the managing the data. Uh, Thanks for past community for organizing this event, and there are some. If you are interested, you can join some free webinar organized by past community, and you can also join their local groups and events. You can also be a part of the past community as a volunteer. And if you have missed the past communities meetup summit last year, so there are recording available for that. You can just go and download from there. It's paststuff.com. And thanks for the global sponsor for organizing this event, and many thanks for Sanbai and team for Bangladesh to organizing this event. It's about me. I'm Asif Waquar, Mohammad Asif Waquar. I'm solution architect at ABN Bank, Singapore, and I'm a Microsoft MVP at Microsoft Azure platform. I'm a certified architect of for the blockchain in using different framework like Corda and Hyperledger. So when we talk about the blockchain, if you see the first image, like in 1980s, how we used to store the data, because the data means like I have taken this picture from one of Indian offices. Like even though some of the offices are there like that, it's not new. So there used to be a pile of files and ledgers and the notes and like, so the data used to be managed in terms of file and storage, all those things like that. But later on, when it came for moving to means there was some improvement, like when the internet came and the Word, Excel, all those came, and then we slowly moved from files to the computer, where you can store all the data in terms of in folders, files, Excel, Words. So what was the problem, and why we need a blockchain actually? So blockchain is nothing but a decentralized database with strong consistency support. What it means is it's a multi-party system. So where exactly all the parties will maintain a set of the data, local copy of the data, and it will be consistent data. Means like suppose there are different parties, there are different organizations, so they will maintain a set of node. Node will be like basically the application, and so on all the organizations node, so whatever the transactions you are going to perform between the organizations, so they will maintain a copy of the transaction. So that actually blockchain helps. So in this scenario means like when there was a used to be like files, and then it moves to internet, and we used to store the files in Word or Excel. So what was the problem actually? So the problem was like what's the actually problem is, so if we are taking like now we have obviously the Word, Google Docs, all those, but it is all maintained at the central level. Like there is obviously, because it is maintained by the Microsoft servers, it is maintained by the Google servers or some other providers, so it is all centralized. So in case if something happens, although they have a very good disaster recovery and fault tolerance policies, but suppose if something happened into one country and completely all the data centers or all the means like parties are completely means like there is no data centers left and all the data is gone. Okay, So what it will be then, how we are going to, so it's a centralized system. It can be a situation that means like the complete means data is lost. Okay, so in that scenario, the multi-party system like a blockchain is really helpful, because it's the data is maintained with the different parties and it is a consistent data. So if I have a data of X copy, same copy will be on the different node as well. So if my node is destroyed in some disaster, so obviously I will have another copy which I can retrieve back easily. So that's the beauty of the blockchain. So what type of problems exactly it solves? So like suppose a few years back, I want to like in 90s when I want to buy a home. Okay, so I need to go to a different people, means like I need to go to a bank, I need to go to a land of registry, I need to go to an insurance company, I need to go to a property inspector separately, I need to provide a lot of documents for that. And what they will do, they will verify my documents, same set of documents, and they will verify the same set of information multiple times. And there will be a lot of intermediary parties like agents will be involved in that. So it was a kind of point to point communication between the parties. Like bank want some information from the property inspector, so he will request from that, and it will take time for getting those information. Same as this, bank need to same information he need to request from the land of registry. And if insurance company want to give you insurance, so they will request the details from the banks. So it was a kind of point to point, and everyone is maintaining a set of data. Everyone is maintaining a set of copy of the records in in files or in docs or whatever. Okay, so there was a trust gap, because in each party, either insurance, bank, because they maintain their own system, they have their own standards. So there is a trust gap. They don't want, like they say, it's like I don't know how is your data. It's like they don't trust the data or the data of other party. So there is a trust gap, and there was an inefficiency of the data. I mean, it's like same kind of report is maintained by insurance agency, and similar report is maintained by the bank, and similar report is maintained by the property inspector or land of authority. So it was a kind of repetitive and inefficiency of the data duplication, and quite expensive process, because same thing, there are a lot of intermediary parties like agents are involved to do the job, which you have to pay a lot of huge amount of fee. So I mean, it's like as I can belongs to a country from India, and there are a lot of frauds. And even though suppose if I want to buy a property, and one property might be registered on a 6 people name, and I don't have any evidence to verify. And if I have to go to the property inspector, banks, all those, but still there might be fraud for that. So how we can avoid such kind of problems? So if we are going for a blockchain related solution, in that what it will be that all the parties like banks, land of registry, buyer, seller, appraiser, they will form a consortium. Consortium is nothing but a kind of group of the organizations or a company. They want to perform a transactions, they want to, like for a property purchase, they will form a consortium. So after forming the consortium, what it will happen is seller will go and post the property in like kind of marketplace. So there will be multiple buyers. They can go and bid for the property. So they don't need to look for any. So how we know that the property is legitimate? Because there will be land of registry which will verify the property details. So it will ensure that all the properties on the platform is legitimate properties, or means correct properties. And so if we know the property is correct, all the documents are correct, and so any insurance company or any bank will easily give a loan. So what it helps is, it helps to provide a real-time review, because when you are going to sell the property, so on the marketplace, and who is going to bid, so seller have a complete view that how many people are interested in his property, and he can accept the bid, he can reject the bid, and there is no intermediary. Because previously we used to have a lot of agents in the middle, for selling the property, the buying the property, they always have a cut of 2 to 4% to 5% up to 10% for in buying and selling properties. Now there is no need for agent, because both can, in the same platform, they can just go and bid for the property and can buy or sell the property. And whenever is any seller is going to put the property in the marketplace or on the platform, they need to provide all the evidence and documents from where the property was started and all those documents, everything. So they have a proof of ownership, who own this property exactly. And this whole process is an automated process in terms of digital smart contracts. The digital smart contracts helps to automate the process, and if you have a certain terms and conditions, so that can be included in terms of contracts. And in terms of multi-party auditing, like suppose seller got means bid from 1,000 buyers, but he only selected one or two, or means like first 10 buyers to consider. So he can reject, it's like, or he can accept. So, or he can just, he don't want to sell the property, he can completely terminate the process. So that's a multi-party auditing and decentralized contract execution. So once it is contract is when once the seller have put the property on the marketplace, so it will be notified to all the parties, so they know that this transaction is happening and they have a real-time review for that. So that's how it works for the blockchain. So but blockchain is implementing a blockchain is also it's like really a difficult situation as of now, because what the major challenges we are facing is like in our organization when we try to implement a blockchain. So the major thing was, we don't want any separate application for the blockchain. We want to integrate our existing app on the blockchain network. So that was our first goal. So if you have any SAP, CRM, SharePoint, or Dynamic CRM, any applications, and you want to integrate with the blockchain network, so that was the first challenge we have. Second was, suppose if I'm living in a village area, but I don't have any blockchain network or application available. So how I can perform the transaction on the blockchain network? So that was the second challenge. And third was like security, because all the parties in current scenario, all the parties are maintaining their own systems. They having their own security standards. Some are good, some are bad. But with the blockchain consortium, like a group, all will have a same security standards. So they will have a digital assets verification audit trail. Yeah. In going forward in demo, I will show how exactly it will happen. So these were the basic challenges we have. Now, this was application level challenges. Now it's sorry, enterprise level. Now it's application level challenges. Because building a blockchain network is not an easy task. Like, you have to be expertise. You have to manage the business logic, API management, orchestration of the integration keys, application, all those. There are a lot of stuff. And suppose I want to test my idea just to, because it's a completely new concept, and I want to test my idea to make a simple prototype, and I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on just making maintaining the whole infrastructure, keeping the team and all. So what best we can do? So that was another challenge we have, like in terms of that was a technical challenge and enterprise challenges. Like it was for us, it was a situation like how to start actually the blockchain. Then we came to know Microsoft Azure Blockchain as a Service. So what Microsoft is doing is really good in terms of they are providing different blockchain as a service. One is the Azure Blockchain as a Service. Second is the Blockchain Data Manager, and third is the Azure Blockchain Tokens and Blockchain Development Kit. So Azure Blockchain as a Service is a PaaS service. It's you can create a whole blockchain network within few clicks. You just need to provide a few details of your resources and all where exactly you're going to host and the names and all, and you can just create a whole consortium. You don't need to be expertise for creating the and managing the VMs and infrastructure, all those things. You don't need to do that. Microsoft is doing for you. Second is the blockchain data manager. Data manager is helpful. Currently, suppose the major challenges with the blockchain network is, if you're going to perform the transaction, so they are going to save the data in terms of states, and you can also integrate your local DB. Okay, but if you have huge amount of data, so they don't have kind of services, event listeners to capture all those data and process into the blockchain network of frameworks. So what Microsoft did is they try to create a service called Blockchain Data Manager, which helps to capture the data from different sources, like in terms of files, IoT, or like suppose sensors data or IoT data, and it's like files, logs, all those things, and process with the help of Event Grid, which is the Microsoft Azure Event Grid, and to Azure Blockchain as a service. And from there, you can store the data in terms of SQL Server, and can show also in the terms of reports. So that's a really nice feature they are providing. And third is the token. So you can tokenize, it's like your assets. Like suppose your asset is real estate properties. So you can tokenize those assets in terms of for buying or selling. So that also happens. They are providing a service. And fourth is the blockchain development kit. They are providing extension for the Visual Studio Code to do the development more user friendly. It's like you don't need to be very expertise in terms of command prompt, and they are already providing a very nice GUI features to do the development. You don't need to install a lot of stuff of blockchain development kit and tools and all. Okay, so and for fifth one is that's called the blockchain Azure Blockchain Workbench. So what Azure Blockchain Workbench is do is they are really helpful in terms of creating blockchain prototype, existing apps. So how they integrate? They integrate with your existing app with the help of APIs. So when you are creating a blockchain Azure Workbench, it creates a few resources, which one of them is also a API. So it exposes the API to integrate with your existing apps. So those APIs can be also integrated with your another blockchain ledger like Hyperledger, Chain, or Quorum, like that. So this is how the architecture look like. So previously we used to have a blockchain network, now which is replaced by Microsoft Azure Workbench, and it maintains a copy of the SQL Server database. It maintains a copy of the smart contracts, and it maintains all your Azure services. And from the Azure Workbench, we can expose the APIs, which is the public and private APIs, and then it helps to connect with your client apps, like your .NET, Java, or whatever your app is. Okay, and as I explained earlier, for the data manager, blockchain data manager, what it helps is it helps to collect the data from different sources, like might be IoT data, logs data, media data, files data, and then it helps to process with the help of service bus and logic apps with the blockchain service, and that blockchain service will push the data into maybe your SQL Server storage, PostgreSQL, or yeah, and then we can show in the terms of reports or Power Apps how you want. Okay, so let's go through now the demo and see how exactly these all things happen. So by end of session, what you're going to see is I have created actually two demos. One is this is the pet shop. This is a blockchain-based application I have created for using Azure Blockchain Workbench. Sorry, Azure Blockchain as a service. So if you see it is connected to my ABS, Azure Blockchain as a service. And what I'm going to do is like we are going to adopt the this docs here. So what exactly I'm doing in the backend behind scene is I have created smart contracts, because all the blockchain, if you're going to write the smart contracts, so that smart contracts is written in terms of language called Solidity. So you need to have a bit idea of the Solidity, how exactly it happens, and you need to also have a Azure Blockchain Development Kit. Azure Blockchain Development Kit, which I told earlier for yeah. So this is the extension which is provided by Microsoft Azure. So you don't need to after installing this application extension, so you can just go and directly create the project. It will give you the option like you want to create a new project, And once you choose a new project, so it will ask you the name, and then you can just go and create the basic project, or you can also take from some of the sample examples, and it will create for you a basic hello world application for you. Okay, so currently, if you see, I have created a very basic app, simple for adopting the docs for this. So if you see here, I am just trying, like, just doing who is going to send, like, who is going to adopt for this, and this ID I'm going to save. And what actually what it helps to do is with the blockchain development kit, it helps you to provide, suppose if you are not very friendly of command prompt, so but even though you can just right click on that and you can build the contracts, deploy the contracts. So deploying, having couple of options actually here. One is on the blockchain as a service, and there is also for the local, if you have a local blockchain network, or the third is like if you have there is a called Infura for that. So it will provide like you a couple of options. I have already created for the Azure blockchain as a service. So if you can see my config here, and same as this is my local network. So let me show exactly how it looks like. So this is my local network, which is local blockchain network, and second is my Azure blockchain Workbench. And to communicate this blockchain to means blockchain network, we need a plugin called MetaMask plugin. So this is for your local development setup. Actually, I'm not going to cover deep because it's a data session. So yeah. Second thing, what you can do is you can generate the data publishing workflows. Like suppose you want to means whenever you are performing any actions, so you want to capture the actions and save the data into the SQL Server database. So what you can do is you can choose this option. Let's call it generate data publishing workflows for the smart contract. So what it helps to do is it helps to create a means like a logic app for you, and that logic app will be auto generated. So you can see here, this logic app is generated in terms of JSON file, and this JSON file we just need to copy, and the app will be created for that. I will show going forward. Yeah. So that's my first application, and second application I have created. Let me. Oh, sorry. So this was like, suppose I want to adopt. So it will ask for my confirmation, because whenever I am going to perform any transaction, so it is going to, because MetaMask plugin is a kind of intermediary plugin which will help you to connect with the blockchain network. So my current blockchain network is Azure Blockchain as a service. So current gas fees, because when we talk about the blockchain, so if you have heard that like Bitcoin or Ethereum, everyone, you need to buy coins, but for this blockchain as a service, you don't need to buy any coin. Why? Because Azure blockchain as a service is based on concept called proof of identity, and that's called consensus mechanism, and it's basically for the private blockchain network, because we are they are focusing more on for the business network. So you need to know all the parties. But when you're talking about the open blockchain network, so you don't need to know anyone. You can just go and perform the transaction. So for performing the transaction, you need to pay a fee in terms of gas fees. So that's why you need the coins to pay the fee for that. But here, actually, all the infrastructure is managed by Microsoft Azure, so you don't need to pay a fee. So that's why the gas fee is $0. So once I confirm, so it will perform the transaction on my blockchain network. So if you can see, it takes maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then once my transaction is done, so you can see it is success. So this is adopted. Okay, and yeah, so you can just go, and later on I will share all this code on my GitHub. So maybe if you want, you can try there. Okay, so same as this, you can just go and adopt for that. So that is happening actually with the help of blockchain as a service. Now what comes is I just want to create a prototype. I don't have very expertise in terms of coding and all. So what I can do is I just need to go for blockchain, and there are two options: Azure Blockchain as a Service and Azure Blockchain Workbench. So blockchain as a service helps you to create a blockchain network within few clicks. You can just go and let me show you quickly. So we can come here and we can choose a resource group what we want. Means like if you have any existing, but we can create a new resource group. The protocol is currently Quorum. So Quorum is the enterprise version of Ethereum. So Ethereum was the open blockchain network, and in 2015, JP Morgan and some of the organizations came and they form a business network. So that's called Quorum. So it is the enterprise version of Ethereum, and by default, this is the protocol. So once you create the network, so Ethereum-based private network will be created for this. And as I told earlier, the consortium is a kind of group. So once you are going to create this blockchain network, so you will be admin for that. And in that, because you are the first one who is going to create, so you'll be the first member. But if you want later on, you can add more members. So that for adding more members, you need to just add the transaction node for that, because every member will hold one transaction node. Or if the member is not holding a transaction node, so he even can use your network. That's fine for that. Like in our case, when we created the network for the blockchain, so means like initially we used the provider's network, but later on then we have set up our own network. So it depends. And the pricing is if you are for the production workload, so you need to choose the standard tier, but for the test or development, you can choose the basic tier for that. And you can just go and create. So it is very simple in terms of this. You can just go and create the network. After creating the network, what you will get is, let me show you. I have already created a simple blockchain as a network. So this is my transaction node I have got. And if I want to add more members, so I will add more transaction node for here. And suppose I want to it's like I have a different members, like 10 members, but I want to capture the data only for the one member. Like suppose there is only one member who is managing all the IoT stuff, all the sensors data. So what I can do is I can configure the blockchain data manager, and I can choose the transaction node which I want. Like there might be multiple transaction node, but I can choose specifically for which transaction node I want to capture the data. So this blockchain data manager will capture the data only for that particular transaction node. So like I have a company A, B, and C. So I want to capture the data only for company C. So I can configure the transaction node from here and can create a blockchain data manager. Okay, so this is how a transaction node looks like. And then you need to provide this connection string. So this connection string, when you are going to configure in your MetaMask, you need to choose custom RPC, and you need to provide the custom this connection string here, because I have already created the network. So you can see it's showing that the URL is already present. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing. But now my idea is I want to create a simple prototype of the blockchain. I don't want to go for the Azure Blockchain as a service, because I don't have any development experience in case suppose. So what you can do is you can just go in blockchain development workbench, and you need to provide all the details, like your resource group, your regions, your authentication type, what type of authentication you want, and your database password and blockchain password. What it is, like when blockchain workbench, like this is blockchain workbench, when it is created for creating the prototype, so it stores also your data in SQL Server database. That's like an off-chain storage. So that's why we need to choose the blockchain database, blockchain password, and then deployment region. And in advanced settings, there are two options. If you are going to create this network, it's like you are the owner of this, so you need to choose the option for the create new. But suppose if you are going to choose the existing network, it's like suppose if you already have one Ethereum network available for your organization, what you can do is you can choose this use existing, and you need to provide the RPC endpoints. So what was the RPC endpoints, which I showed earlier, my connection string. So you just need to provide your connection string that says RPC endpoints. And because it's a closed network and all the parties are known parties, So we need to configure our Active Directory, because all the parties must be registered with the network, either as a main user or a guest user. What it means is guest user is, uh, in my slides, as I explained earlier, that suppose I want to perform transaction from a village. I don't have any blockchain network, and I don't have anything, because I don't have any application, mobile or laptop. How I can perform the transaction? So what you can do is you can register that user as a guest user on your blockchain Active Directory. So let me show you how exactly it looks like. So in your Active Directory users, what you can do is you can register a user as a guest user, and then he will be able to perform, because he should be known with the idea is he should be also known on the consortium, either as a guest user or a main user. So then he will be able to perform the transactions. He will just click the link and the transaction will be performed. So it's something like that. So for once you created the blockchain workbench, so how the resources will look like, let me show you. So it will create actually couple of resources. So that's why it is good for creating a prototype, because in when we are running an application in production or development, if you have a development team, and so in that scenario, for creating a prototype is good, but when we are moving for the production, because we don't need that much resources and because it will cost a lot of money. Okay, so what we can do is, if you can see here, there is an app service. They have also exposed the APIs to integrate with your existing applications like .NET, Java, or whatever. And they also have like event grid. So whenever we are performing any kind of transaction, so with the help of event grid, they are capturing the data and processing into SQL Server database. So this is our SQL Server database. So let me show you quickly how exactly the data looks like. If you have any questions, you can put on the chat, and then I will go through and answer on that. Yeah. So this is, you can see all the contract details. Even if you are not very familiar with the blockchain network and all, okay, but you can see the data. You can visualize, means like how the transaction is by being performed on that. So let me show quickly how exactly the blockchain workbench works. So this is my asset transfer application. So what exactly I have done is I have developed a simple smart contract for transferring, means like in my slides I have shown earlier. If you want to sell a property, so you have like a lend, like you have buyer, you have seller, you have insurers. So all should be on the same platform. So they are going to sell the assets. So that is why I have created a simple asset transfer blockchain application in terms of smart contracts for testing my logic. I have written the code in Solidity, which I showed earlier. So this is a Solidity code you need to write for that. Okay, and because it will be their roles, permissions, and all those things will be recognized with the metadata file. So whenever we build this blockchain smart contracts, it will generate an ABI file, which is your nothing but your metadata file. So you need to upload that file as well. So this is your metadata file you need to upload. So like asset.json, and then it will ask your smart contract. So your smart contract is like a solution of that. So yeah. So and then you can just deploy. So in this scenario, you don't need to create the whole UI. You don't need to create the whole infrastructure. You can just go and create a blockchain workbench within 1 hour, and then you can start writing your smart contract logic and test your smart contract logic on that. So in my consortium, there are 6 members. One is a land of authority, and the second is the owner, which is like a seller, and there is a buyer, and there is also appraiser, and there is a property inspector. So currently I have this role in my smart contracts. So land authority, appraiser, buyer. So if I want any other member to choose something like means So suppose if I want to choose any other party to be like a appraiser or inspector, I can choose and just assign a role to him. Because all are the known properties authorities, so that's why we need to register with the ADA account for that. Okay, so now let's go and create a new asset transfer. So suppose I want to sell a 2 BHK condo in Singapore. So I have 650,000. So you can see here now the contract is being created on the blockchain network. And this blockchain network means like once the contract is being created, I will capture the data in smart contracts. So now if you see previously there was 3 records, now it's become 4 records. Now what I want to do is I want to capture this data in terms of Power BI reports, because this is my SQL server, right? So now this data can be used for Power BI or some other purpose for that. So I have created a simple a chart for that. So what I'm going to do is it's like I'm going to get the data. So I just need to provide my SQL Server credentials, like a database. I need to choose from the database, and I need to provide my credentials for connecting my database. So this is my database here. So this is my SQL Server. I need to provide my SQL Server credentials here, and then my username and password, and it will be helpful to connect the data for the SQL Server which we have. And currently what I'm doing is I am displaying the 2 types of the data. One is the display contracts. So what are the states we have? Like we have a pre-active states, active states, offer placed. So what it means is like pre-active state is few days back when I was building this like asset transfer. So initially there was that means when seller used to post the property into the marketplace, and then asset used to be active, and then buyer can just go and buy, bid for the property. So when they are going to bid for the property, then the state used to change to this offer placed, and then once it is going for the property verification, then pending inspection and all. Okay, but there was a question asked by the guy. He said, how you know that your asset is legitimate? Means like suppose I have posted your property on my name to on the marketplace or blockchain Workbench. So how you will know that this property belongs to me? And in that scenario, what means like obviously that was a real use case. Means like that kind of fraud can be happen. So what we did is whenever you are going to post the property into the blockchain network. So if you see here, currently I have posted this property. So but now it is in pre-active assets. So means it is not open for the bidding for the buyers. So suppose if I'm going to log in as a buyer account, which is my this is James. So let's go and log in with the James account. So I will not be able to bid for this property. So this is the property which I have posted this now, and so you can see in the actions I don't have anything to bid for it. So what I need to do is first this property needs to be verified with the land of authority, and which is one of the members in the consortium. So once they verify only, then only it will be available for the bid. So let me show you how exactly it works. So land of authority is demo 2. So I will log in as a demo 2 account. So now you can see that because I'm logging as a land of authority, and now I can accept the property and I can reject the property. And you see the contract activity is being created. So all the activity which you are performing on the blockchain network, it is being recorded, and it is always with the unique hash, and the state will change from pre-active to active, and yeah. Okay, so the basic thing is now my property is ready for doing the bidding. So you can see that the state is changed to active, and now I can log in as a buyer account, which was my demo 4, and property should be available for bidding. So this is a simple, the prototype which I have created in like 2-3 days. So if you want to test your blockchain workbench logic, how the data will be managed, how the application will look like, so it's quite easy to test from now. I can just go and make the offer. I can choose the inspector because this property needs to be verified from the property inspector as well. So I can bid for that, and you can see the transaction is being happening, and this contract will go to the now LN, which is the property inspector, for being inspection, and the asset state will change to offer placed. Now what I want to is I want to capture this all the data which is happened here into my Power BI report. So currently I have this, so let's go and quickly refresh it. So you can see now I will have, so you can see this graph is bit increased. So I have 4 pre-active statements previously I had, and then we had why my this two defaults are this show. Okay, and if you can see, this is also means increased. For previously it was like Changi, then again I have added for 3 BHK. So that's how it works. So means like you want to test your end-to-end logic for creating the simple prototype and capture the data when in terms of using with the help of event grid, and then process into SQL Server database. Then from there we can display into the Power BI report. And for it's like this is for the prototype. But when it comes for the development part, so we have Azure Blockchain as a service, which I showed earlier for my to-do list app. So what I'm going to do is for to-do list app, this is the CRUD application which I have created before. So in that I'm creating a list, like suppose test 6, and create it. So I'm going to capture this data into the blockchain using the Azure Logic app and processing data into the first SQL Server database. So I have created a 6. So let me show you. I think I have already created a SQL Server for this to-do list app. So you see here, this is my 6th record which is created here. Now let me go and create one more. Test 7. So this will be for more focused on the developer. Like suppose being as a you want to move this application, once you have tested your prototype, verified your business logic, everything is working fine, then you can just go and create the blockchain application, like your own UI for the in terms of React or Angular or however it's like your application looks like, and you can just put your smart contract details here, and you can also in terms of, because Azure Blockchain Workbench by default it creates an event grid to capture the data, but in our case, because we are doing the development, so we need to do from our end. So what we can do is we can either you can create an event grid, or what you can do is you can use this generate data publishing for the Windows workflow, and it will help you to generate this logic app. And this logic app, what exactly you need to do is you just go and choose this. Okay, currently I have created 7, right? Let me show, and I think 7, it was under 6, now should be 7. So if you can see here, the 7 is also came, but there is a 2 records is going blank because as of now currently I have created 2 logic apps. One logic app is, I think, there is not passing some data. So let me show you how exactly it works. Is yeah, SQL Server logic app to do. Yeah, so I have previously I have created to do created, which is working correctly fine, and then I have created a SQL test also. So let me create another one. That's integration logic app. So, test 3. So once the logic app is created, means like there are already some predefined templates available, so you don't need to uh, go and custom create. Means like even though you can just use the existing templates. So I will show how exactly it looks like. So if you can see, there is an option like you can choose the blank template, and there is also option like this I am doing actually publish smart contracts to the SQL Server database. So there is already predefined template available for that. You don't need to go and create manually like how I am doing. But it's good to have. You can also, like, if you want to do for the event grid, you want to capture all the data like IoT sensors data. So you want to capture whenever a smart contract is happening. So you want to capture all the data with like huge amount of data. So you can configure with the event grid, and you can push the data in terms of Power BI report whenever the smart contract is happening. You want to send the email notification. So if your action is being performed by, whenever you post the property into the blockchain network, and you want to send an email notification to all the parties, or that property is listed on the blockchain network. So that kind of good features he can do. That's a really good integration capabilities, but which Microsoft Azure providing. So but like how I have generated the logic app here. So suppose I want to, like, I don't want to go for the template. I just want to create like with this connection string. So what I can do is I can just go and choose the blank app. I can go and replace this connection string. So in the designer, if you will see is my smart contract is created. My connection is, so you just need to create the connection string. I have already connection string, so I can just choose. Otherwise, you can choose a new one. So you need to provide the connection name, Asif, and then it's like endpoints, Ethereum endpoints, which I showed for the MetaMask plugin, like the endpoints which are providing. So let me again show you for that. So this is my Azure blockchain. So this is my transaction node. So in the transaction node connection string, I need to provide this Ethereum endpoints. So this is my Ethereum endpoints. I need to provide in the logic for creating the connection. It will recognize, and this is my account address is asking. So this my account address is nothing but my transaction node account member account address. So this is my account address, member account address I need to provide, and I can provide the password. So already I have created, so I don't need to create any other one. So I can just go and create a new connection string for that. Okay. So once my connection string is, so it will capture all my smart contract functions here. So I have 2 functions like task created and task completed. So which actions I want to capture, I can just choose from here. And then we have means like SQL Server. So I already created the connection for the SQL Server. So you can just go and create the SQL Server connection here. And whenever is any action is being performed, so the logic app will trigger. So let me show how exactly it works is. So this is my to-do list. Yeah. So this was for created earlier. So Logic App Designer. Okay, and now what I will do is test 8 created. Okay, so I will just put it and make it run. Okay, let me perform the transaction, and I have performed the transaction. So it should reach to this. So my transaction is being confirmed, and if you can see here, it is reached to the blockchain. It's like Logic App to process the data into the SQL Server database. Same as you can create, some other one is like you can just go and create a new step for triggering your email. So whenever is any action is being performed on the blockchain network, you want to process the data into SQL Server database, and also you want to send the email notification to all the parties. So that's how it, simple it is. So yeah, that's what. Let's jump to the slides again. So what we did is, we have demoed the two things. One is with Azure Blockchain as a service, which is we try to create a blockchain smart contracts, then deploy the smart contracts on the Azure Blockchain as a service, which is you can just deploy the smart contracts here, and then you can create the logic app. So you can just directly right click and generate a data publishing app. So you want to capture the data of your actions performed. So you can generate the app, and then you can deploy the logic apps on the blockchain as a blockchain. So how it looks like is when you are going for creating the APIs. So API call will be like you will receive the HTTP request, you will call the smart contracts, and then you will perform the transaction on that. So yeah, in summary, we discussed about the blockchain, then how it solved the problem. Then we gone through about the blockchain as a service. Then we have seen how we can set up the Azure Workbench and display the data in Power BI report. And then we have seen also how we can capture data using Azure Logic Apps on the blockchain. Yeah, so these are some free resources available for, so you can just go and take a look. And yeah, thank you. So if you have any questions, you may ask them.
Thank you, Walker.